Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. The city of Houston, California, and maybe we can get a visual on this too. So we have an issue where the city council has decided in all their wisdom that they're going to go full Orwell on the town, I guess. They want to force businesses to install cameras in their places of business, and then they want to force those businesses to allow them to access the footage that's collected on those cameras. So this is apparently going to affect certain businesses. It's going to be bars, convenience stores, game rooms, nightclubs, and sexually oriented businesses. But anyways, that's kind of the gist of it. But it sure seems like that's pushing against against some of our liberties. What do you guys have?
I thought Houston was, kind of like liberty oriented in one way or another out there, in the free state.
No, it's not. Houston is a very left wing city. Seriously.
Oh,
I used to live many years ago. I used to live there, and it was left wing. It was left wing then.
Yeah, I probably, I wouldn't have been so surprised as you probably, and you probably have more to say about it than I do. But instead of being freedom loving, they seem to be only in the pilgrim methodology there. So apparently they want to clamp down on all these notorious sinful activities here or something. I don't know what they're going after. All this crime they say is occurring there or something. Anyway, Leon, what's the story?
Well, this is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment. This thing is totally unconstitutional, okay? Because not only they are forcing property owners to put these cameras up and pay for it, they're also going to allow the police to have access to these things without a warrant. Imagine that. In the United States of America, the police could just walk onto your property and tell you, we need to see those cameras. So what about the damn warrant? We don't do that here in America anymore. You know what was very interesting in all of this? Look at the vote of the council. 15-1. Only one member of the Houston City Council thought that this was a bad idea. 15 of them thought it was a good idea. And this is happening in America, in the United States of America. You have to wonder what country we're living in when you see clear violations of the Constitution, and nobody seems to care. At least the governance of Houston, Texas, don't seem to care about the fact that we have a Constitution here in the United States.
Kalish, as a council person and a mayor yourself, what do you think is in the Kool-Aid that these guys have in their water cooler down there in Houston?
I think it just keeps going back to that whole, we've got kind of nanny state laws, and you look to government to go and protect you. And, I would say that they will find great success in being able to crack down on certain criminals and those sorts of things. And that's how they'll be able to sell it. But it's that whole, and I'm going to butcher the line, but if you give up any ounce of liberty or freedom for security, then you deserve neither. Yes. And so that's really where you're trying to find the line. And, in fact, when you bring this one up, I actually have this in my own city, but not regarding that, not to that extent, but because of the cannabis laws. And I actually need to sit down with and talk to our police chief. But I know that for dispensaries, they are required to have 24-hour surveillance cameras that, pointing out there, and our PD has to have remote access, and they have to keep the tapes or the recordings up to 45 days as well. So same kind of thing. It's just specifically with the cannabis companies. And I do think that has to do more with state law regulations. But I do want to take a closer look at it and see if we're taking it any further than it needs to be. But something that, hopefully down the line we'll be able to roll back on. Now, the problem, though, is that since we're already using it, it's hard to roll that back. And so, it's a slippery slope for something like Houston, though, where they're like, well, we're going to do it this place, this place, this place, and they're not going to want to release that. In fact, they're going to want to increase it too, because you're catching criminals. I'll have to admit, we've caught some criminal activity on ours too. Our police chief was just sharing the story the other day where it caught somebody who's kind of well known around town, and he just went over there and tap on the guy's shoulder, and the guy's like, "Oh, hey, chief," and he just goes, "Hey, so I saw on camera somebody who looks like you who may have removed some public property. Now, I think if that property was just returned, we won't have to have any more words." And he goes, "Right, got it. Okay, I'll bring it back." But so there are those successes, and that unfortunately emboldens them to it's a place like Houston or any of these other cities that would want to adopt these more Orwellian policies to move forward and be able to sell their constituencies on it too, which is just a shame.
Do you know how long these laws have been on the books, Kalish?
This would have started as soon as we allowed for dispensaries. So over the last couple of years for us, but we don't have them anywhere else. We don't do red cameras, anything like red light cameras or anything like that around here too. And that's something that we would stand against as well.
Yeah, apparently Chicago is actually trying to fund a lot of their debt with cameras in their town. As far as traffic cameras, they're messing with the speed limits, I guess, and ratcheting them down in order to get more fines collected there. So it's just kind of crazy. But that's a little bit of a digression. But what is interesting though is that with the whole cannabis thing, it's that if the reason is because they think there's more crime around that. Well, probably a lot of that is because of a lot of other government laws that have essentially you say that these people can't use the banking system, not you guys specifically in Hanford, but the federal government. And then you have all these other crazy restrictions on them. And so it causes there to be a different environment around that type of a product anyway. So that maybe leads to more crime. So I don't know. It's like one government comes and causes one problem, and then they show up with another government band-aid to solve that one and cause another problem.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First the government causes the problem, and then I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, why are all the people that go to the dispensary getting ripped off for their cash? Like, golly, there's guys with guns just waiting for them to walk into the dispensary. We don't understand why. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going off. Go ahead, Leon. Say something.
The government always, they create these problems with their ridiculous laws, and then they're gonna come back and save us. They always that is their continuing pattern. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.